How y'all doing? I'm Devorjae. This is another episode of Truth 7. And today's subject, we are going to speak about, and we're going to go into the subject of 5G and exactly what this means and what does it mean overall, non-biased standpoints, just on certain principles with the all-around figure of 5G in any type of frequency level of wavings or radio waves or signaling, which exists in the realm of when it comes to credits, like credentials within currencies, cryptocurrencies, or basic transactions of light and information in the unseen realm. So within all those deposits and under that umbrella and everything that goes into that, just looking at what that means in the because there's different frequencies and everything's vibrating at a different frequency, and there are things that are in the physical presence of our reality that we can sense and that we know are there, but yet we can't touch them, or you can't see them physically, which shows there's different realms of reality, or you can say different dimensions, or you can just say different atmospheres, but everything gets broken down on some type of level, even to the microscopic biology or chemical level when you want to talk about amoebas and cells within cells, in the nuclei. Everything is a reflection or going on some type of living system relying on another one and transporting and interacting. That's just on all levels: biology, chemistry, physics. That's just the relative movement of life. But so back to this 5G thing with that introspective. Everything is just crazy. As time has went on, we can I'll just start from the time period of 100 years before the internet age. Just start when the telegraph was brought into existence as our means and forms of communication. Everything had to come through the material form, just written on paper. Information from people, gathered into information of words, put on paper. Either way, no matter what, it had to be written on paper and then moved somewhere else just to communicate a message. You can say that's one flat physical dimension, and I like to call it the paper dimension, sort of like a paper town. And if you don't know what a paper town is, you can research that. A paper town is something that literally is made up, but is still put in the physical reality on the map to the point there are people who have been mistakenly went to towns and places that no longer exist. Kind of like when you write anything on paper, you can erase it, like names change. So in the physical sense of understanding that, you can see that was one of the first means of communications, that is a dimension within a dimension, which is a one-dimensional plane, which information usually first comes through. And that's called the paper dimension. Mainly coined by me, but also other illustrators and artists that have the alchemy and understanding of, and any architect really, that we all are. We're all doing magic when we're writing on paper. We're creating spells and creating shit, alchemy out of nowhere. That's just how things come into the reality. First dimension, paper dimension, flat, whatever, just like the earth. So with all that being said, the next dimension that you can say within our meanings of communication in long ranges to different points in time to relay something, we also had moved to radio waves. So it was radio. We finally were at the point where we could send signals, tapped in signals, and tapped in frequencies, and typed in different code numbers to pinpoint areas in the area or distances. And that, as you see, that grew and grew and went to telephoning. And then we're getting television also around that time too. And they had phone booths. Everything started off stationary. Then around the millennial period, Y2K 2000s going closer, the cell phones hit, and it got more separate and more mobile. So putting that in all alignment and realizing just the evolution of the modern 21st century technology time spectrum, we will see that 1G, you can just, like I say, you can count it as paper, bringing that, just writing information down. That's just communication, 1G. And you can say that the 2G is now that we can copy and save information, that it's there in 2G, and it can be now encrypted into numbers and codes in the system that are in a unseen reality that still are compartmentalized, just like anything in physical reality. And you can say that 3G is now that everyone is connected, and we have the save files from all that information, even from history, starting to when we started the telegraph. And we can still hit back to notions on that because of writings that were left at a certain point, because that's the first point that things come to be in creation of anything, no matter what it is. So now that we are at 4G, we are at high frequency focus waves that can now, you yourself can create a corporate entity in your own bank statements and your own bank labels if you know the proper procedure. And you can begin to even go deeper into the net, the dark net, and everything. And depending if you are a hacker and know how to maneuver through systems and manipulate a physical system in that sense. And but that goes into that. So when we get to host of 5G, you have to realize that focus on the world has expanded to beyond an outer entity in the physical 3D sense, or on the plane of Earth. That's majorly now you have to realize that net is constructed and observed by a higher entity in some way, shape, form, or manner. So now the focus is even more on the brain waves it's connected to, which is all the people who have created a track record. And if you're born in the States, and honestly any country besides maybe more first world countries that are still primitive like paper, that you will have a code or barcode or a social security number attached to you, because it's property. And now that's gone and we're at 5G, and honestly the 5G thing, that's just a low ball. The frequencies have been high. When you are on your phone, and we're at the point now where we are thinking things or communicating certain things around your phone, these smartphones. And if it's smart, it's very smart. It takes in a lot of information that it can all now be. It's it's connected, and it's 5G is above that. The waves of your vibrations are tapped into only due to what you do. It's all in your action, and it's involuntary, and it's not all negative, and it's all positive. It's what it is, and it's how you do things and how you maneuver in it. But either way, there's still going to be ties binded in some shape, way, form, or manner. So with that being said, this 5G thing is a high focus informational beam of light. As we all know, light and fire are the same vibration and frequency. They are both information, or both when turned up in our physical reality, we can even sense it and feel it enough to burn through our physical chemistry of our body. So certain focus frequencies, such as even a microwave, with microwaves, you can't see a flame or the food being heated, but you understand that there are waves being pushed into it that are causing an effect. Now, it's been put into our reality and known that this is what our governmental powers are using. It's There's all different types of warfare, and they're going on forever. The most frivolous warfare is the physical warfare, because that's all how it just trickles down and drops down to the masses, and what all the conjoined physical consciousness, along with the direction of the high powers, are putting it to be there. Only when the masses shift their consciousness that the whole realm will switch in a whole way. But that's just a informational battle, and a battle in itself, and just an exchange, and voluntary and involuntary. So, with all that just being said, with the information focus that they can tap in and root on, that the government has already talked about, that they are actually implementing and have been implementing, as for even different types of warfare, for protection and for offensiveness. Either way, there's a higher power that has in possessions of it, and they are being used on the lower masses in trinklets and let down, just like all information is put down to the masses last. Like, you can't sit here and believe that people didn't have phones before they were actually given to you. It's been proven in the government powers they have cell phones way before the telegraph was being made. Cell phones are already there. That's just truth, and that's fact. If you believe that Nixon made a phone call to the moon, if you really believe Nixon made a phone call to the moon at those densities that they will give you in the numberings, and if you understand frequencies and vibrations, and it wouldn't be possible. They didn't even have satellites launching like that at that period for any type of cell phone. Why would they have a satellite for that reason? For telephone, they're all connections are through the earth, through mineral, through ground vibrations here. Nothing has to go into the ethereal, liquid, electronic atmosphere. It doesn't have to do that. So a phone call from Nixon on the first moon landing, that just doesn't suffice or match up. But anywho, these 5G frequencies are just like microwaves. You can search it up. Go through Truth is Our Religion. I'm associated through this truther page. All truthers, many truthers are signed up through, and they promote it, and it's a way, an information gateway for any high knowledge, balanced information you need. Just I'll put the link in the bottom for Truth is Our Religion. That's on all social media platforms and on the net. Truth is Our Religion, because that's what truthers do. It's our religion. But back to saying, the 5G waves are being pushed on, have been used to push on crowds and wanting to be used in peaceful rallies, or when people are rallying, just use waves to kind of dissect them from coming towards the area, and give them nausea, make them want to throw up, cause different. It's it's been here, it's been there, and it's very interesting. Just look it up. They've also, since using 5G, have seen many squirrels, birds, dead, falling out the sky, and this is much of how we know that we're about to come to a major shift again, because these are the retelling things of some things of revelations to say something relative to religion and scripture and all that, with repeating history and everything, because that's what books just show: repeating thoughts, repeating history of events. So with that being said, it's just another foreshadowing of major conscious shifting moments. So, and and we're here, we're approaching it, and it's not a negative or positive, but look out for more of these light frequencies being used, like Project Bluebeam, where it will be more incentive to try to force people together, because that's what they're doing honestly right now. with these 5G and 6G light beams. They've shown that they're going to use them and that they're useful. But since in California of recent, around this time of 11, 13, 18, 11, 13, 18, those numbers are very significant for 13th day and 12th day to display higher light prowess. These fires are unnatural fires that are happening in California, but they have been happening, but this is just more of an uprising, more of an enhanced version. Now it's actually been caught. I, for myself, I guess when you kind of, in a sense, see R's, or you just have you're attentive to light. I've been traveling to California and seen light beams bearing in the air with clear skies, and we know weather is monitored. Just look up HARP. There's many instances and much proof. So along with this 5G and 6G and these light beams and these, I already told you about the chemistry warfare with the radiations that they can bind minds or push people away, and use radiation as a means of warfare. But the fact that they're pushing it up and that's increasing it for the phonage, it's affecting animals, they're dying, and they're going to be more in tune and connected through the smartphones. Everyone is, information is all being watched, and it's going to be more predictive, and that's where the lower vibration or the downfall or the upsetness comes in, because it's like, at what point is the freedom where you can have the connection, but the connection has to be monitored, such as why events like 9/11 go down. But I won't get into that, because if you know, you know. But the 5G and the light beamings that they used in California is, if you search, just go to, like I said, Truth is Our Religion. It'll pop up for our the information gathering and all the references people want. You have to, it's deep researching for references. Like, you've done school projects, you know how freaking reference grabbing was freaking hard and meticulous, so do that for everything. But with that 5G, they're using beams, they're forcing fires, and the idea is to try to force people more towards the middle and use the coastal lines for whatever means they need to usher in some type of bearing, because it would be stupid to open it's predictive programming, because a week before the fires they let people know that they're using these beams in some sense. So it's predictive programming. Look what that is. Just look it up. So they can be setting up for maybe having some type of attack from a coastal line, setting up a play for that, because all governmental powers are in that play. And information just trickles down and manifests due to who is pulling the strings and who is, if you're going to follow after the lead and be easily swayed. But with this 6G and 7G, man, it's going to be tough. They're turning it up. They're turning it up. It's been on lock. A lot of people are waking up with this, understanding their world. Flat Earth is pushing the thought barrier. Once you have more of these indigos and light workers out here who get a little positioning, shout it out, it upbuilds the roar. And then it's going to be a lot of people with this melatonin and these high spirits that get it out. And it's cool. It's been pushing, and people are waking up in many, many ways. And it's just a balance beam. And, you know, we're at a time where as an individual, you have more power to have your own business, have your own thing going. We're just, the millennials push that, and a lot of, you know, boundaries are being swayed and maneuvered, but a new world will come into how it's going to come into. Everyone, just as an individual, needs to know to keep their thoughts positive and stay in their way, so they don't get trickled or attracted to something that they don't. But like I said, we all change through our thoughts. So if everyone's thinking on a just positive mind frame, imagine. But if you have a mixture of stuff, of course, a mixture of random shit's going to happen. Yeah. But back to this 5G thing, to go more in truth and basis of this 5G, 6G, whatever. It's just radiation. It's not the utmost best thing. It's just more predictive calculation. You will see this, and you've been seeing it, that information in which you're attracted to will pop up in your black mirror. It's just another dimension. We're talking through a whole different area, like when I was talking about dimensions. Trying to think of some more points to really hit with the 5G and 6G, because this is just to wrap your head around a full understanding about what these rays and beams of light of information mean, and how in the physical sense, when you turn up the light beams and frequencies, it comes into a physical light, and the light can become heat, fire, and zap. And this is another result of understanding that even the flat earth and the dome is here. It can be simple mechanisms where it can, it's not a craft. I don't think it's a craft or anything. It's a beam of reflection off the firmament, and it can direct in whatever areas that it need be. And this is just a display, because it's a play. It's just a playground. It's a display. That's why you have to realize life is like fun. You can't get down about like the games and everything and what's going on. You just have to stay on your path. So with this this push of this 6G and everything, just be a little bit more acute and aware. Try to turn your phones off, to keep crystals around. These are the ways that you negate those frequencies and those vibrations. Before my time goes up, I'm going to end this video. If you liked what you heard and you have any questions, hit the subscribe button, message me, any of that. I'm always answering questions. Thanks for coming to watch the video. If I have any more points to hit on the 5 or 6G, I'll just do a part 2. Usually around these days, just going with the flow. If you want to see any more information type visuals, I have an anime coming out named Pranagaia, Pranagaia. When you search it up, it'll come up. It's another way just to give out information, cartoons, and like I was saying in the beginning, rest in peace to Stan Lee. It's a way that you can pass on so much information and so much storytelling, writing your own Bible. Marvel in itself is like a Bible. So it's kind of interesting. It's called Marvel because it was a literal sculptured world that has helped many people in this world grow and everything. So hopefully y'all check that out for me. So Pranagaia anime is going to be on the YouTube channel, pretty much connected to this. You'll see it. It'll pop up. It's going through YouTube, Crunchyroll, and hopefully this thing raises, because I'm going to continue spreading light in all different forms. And I hope that you guys are here for the ride. All right, this was True 7. Like I said, try to stay off that 6G, man. All right, bye-bye.